Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. This is Narco Cop MMA. My name is Mike. This is going to be episode number 2 of the Lambo Plays podcast. I'm going to have 2 guests with me today. Everybody knows these guys, great cappers. We're going to give you guys plus 300 plays or better. Maybe a fight or two, we might not have that, but for the most part, we will have them. I'm going to do a quick breakdown of last week in the Lambo Plays podcast, episode 1. We hit 3 out of 9 plays, which is great. We hit a plus 500 with Rodriguez by decision. We hit Romanov round 2, plus 380. And we also got that Steve Garcia round 2 KO at plus 500. So overall, if you were to play one unit on each one of the plays that we gave out, you would have been plus 7.8 units last week, which is impressive. I wouldn't recommend, playing one unit down the board on these long shot plays, but if you did, and for my record, it's plus 7.8 units. It's good to go. With that being said, we're gonna start off this week's card. It's UFC Vegas 40. I'm gonna bring in my first guest. It's none other than Brady. What's up, Brady?
What's up, man? Looking forward to the show. I love the idea of the show. It makes you really think. It was fun going through and just trying to find plays that are at least 300 and better. And yeah, you killed it last week, so that's awesome. Hopefully you keep it rolling this week as well.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Nice to have you. My second guest here is none other than Liam. This guy is a regular now. He's a regular on the Dana White's Contender Series show, which we've been destroying. What's up, buddy?
Absolutely, and I'm happy to be here. I was telling you guys before we got started, but I actually had a bunch of plays already for this card that are, plus 300 and above. So excited to share some of those and also, to look through these other matchups and try and snipe out some plus 300 and greater opportunities. So yeah. I'm looking forward to breaking it down with you guys.
That's great to know. I mean, you already had them ready to go, which helps a lot because, it's not easy finding, plus 300 plays that you're actually seeing value in, right? We don't want to just play plus 300 plays if there's absolutely no value just because it's plus 300. But the point is, we're trying to find those plus 300 or better plays that actually have some kind of value or some merit to them, right? Daz, what's up, Daz? Yeah, Brady's in the house. The house. Hania, what's up? She's back. How are you? All right. Are you guys ready to give these folks plus 300s or better?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Let's start it off with fight number 1. Ariane Carnelossi going up against the newcomer Estela Nunez. I will kick it off to my man, Brady. Give us the plus 300 play if you have one.
Yeah, so I actually have one for every single fight on the card besides one. We'll get to that at the co-main event. But yeah, for this one, there's a lot of question marks for me in terms of the Nunez side. We have not seen her. I think the last time she fought was 26 years old. She's 29 now, has a Muay Thai background. Actually impressed with her striking. I guess the big hole in her game is that takedown defense and ground game. But, it's not really something Carnelossi does go to. What I noticed is Carnelossi is very, very hittable. I have seen Nunez get a couple of KOs. So my thinking is, she has 3 years off. She was young. She could see some improvements here. And if Carnelossi does give her the fight she wants, which is going to be on the feet with how hittable Carnelossi is, I wouldn't be shocked if Nunez KO'd her, which is sitting at plus 550. So my play is going to be Nunez KO plus 550.
I like it. Liam, what does Liam have there? I can't even see that. What does that say?
No problem. I'm happy to break it down, which is I had Nunez by KO, TKO at plus 550 as my first.
Not Nunez, right? Carnelossi, you mean?
No, I meant Nunez.
Oh, okay.
Yep, at plus 550. And, because I'm actually on the Nunez money line here as well at plus 145. And, I think it's most likely that she's going to win a decision here. But also we've seen Carnelossi get stunned, get wobbled. She's kind of a reckless fighter, very wild with her entries, chin up in the air. She looks big, strong, and physical, but we've seen her get rocked and wobbled by somebody who I'm not really, all that impressed by in Na Liang. And so for that reason, plus 550, I'm probably going to end up taking a small shot on that myself.
Cool, cool. Well, for me, I actually have a slightly different one. I have Carnelossi round 3. It's a little bit of a long shot, just because she's the she's been in the cage before. I think it's sitting at like plus 1,100 or 1,000 if I'm not mistaken. Let me go back and look. But yeah, it's plus 1,400. So my reasoning there is going back and watching Carnelossi. Yeah, she's aggressive, she's strong. She throws big punches. She does have power, but she doesn't grapple much. Like, she's good down there if she's to use it, I believe. And she's going to have a big advantage over Nunes if she decides to actually grapple. But the reasoning why I picked that round 3 prop is because, it's kind of a short notice fight for Nunes. Yeah, she was training for that Contender Series, but it's a completely different fight. It's under the bright lights. And I actually think Carnelossi might actually grapple here. And that's my reasoning. I think she's going to grind her out and possibly try to take her out in that 3rd round at a plus 1,400 clip. That was the play that stuck out to me a little more than the others. But I don't mind the actual KO from Carnelossi because she actually throws really hard. And I think if she catches Nunes, she might be able to put her out.
The other prop I had picked here, just to let you know, was Carnelossi's sub at plus 1,200. If she's going to get top control and spend a lot of minutes on top, and we know that Nunes kind of has a grappling liability from the tape that does exist, I think that might be worth a poke if you're more on the Carnelossi side of things.
Definitely. But the one thing, when you see her when she is down there, she kind of like goes for more of the ground and pound than the actual like subs. So that's what kind of like, I don't know if she actually hunts for the subs as opposed to her just fucking trying to bash her head in when she's on top. So, yeah, moving on. Fight number 2, Brandon Davis going up against Dana Battergall. This is going to be a really good fight. Me personally, I actually have a play on Davis sub plus 1,000. I think that line is way off just for the fact that I think Davis is going to try to grapple in this fight just because Battergall hits really hard. Davis is the much longer guy, but we've seen him grapple, right? He goes to grappling when he knows the other guy's the better striker, like in the Giga fight. Like, he went to grappling. I think he's going to go to the grappling here. He will have success. We saw the success in Battergall's fight against the other guy in Alatang, who's probably a better wrestler than Davis. But Davis, again, is big for this division, man. He's a big dude at 135. So I think he's going to have success in getting takedowns. And if he does, I think he's the way better grappler here as far as submission grappling. And at plus 1,000, I think that line is way off. So I have an actual play on Davis by submission at plus 1,000. Go ahead, Brady.
Yep. So we're going to line up here as well. I saw the sub prop at plus 1,100, and I pretty much agree with you for the most part. Brandon Davis is going to need to go to takedowns in this fight. Even if he doesn't, I feel like the fight's going to be somewhat competitive. I do favor Dana a little bit in terms of the power, but yeah, we saw him. He was able to take down Giga Chikadze 3 times. He does go to that wrestling a lot. I think he will here as well. We saw that Dana was taken down 3 times against Halatang Hali in that 3rd round. Didn't really have much to offer off his back. I believe Davis is, I think, a brown belt in BJJ, maybe a black belt. He has, I think, the same amount of submissions on his record than he does knockout wins. So yeah, I think I'm with you. I think plus 1,100, plus 1,000 just seems way off considering he's going to grapple in this fight. You've got to imagine. So I'm with you there, Narco.
Nice. I like that we're aligning. That's a good sign. What do you got, Liam? Are you aligning with us?
Sort of. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm aligning with you in the sense that I actually am on the Brandon Davis side of things. I'm on the Brandon Davis money line in this spot for 0.6 units at plus 160. And here's where I'm going to diverge from you guys a little bit. I played at chalk odds, minus 138. The fight goes the distance for 1.4 units. And I also played as a play tracked for me. And as a premium pick, I gave out, Brandon Davis to win this fight by decision at plus 333. That line has disappeared. Plus 320 is the best available. So we're still over that plus 300 mark. And I think Brandon Davis is likely to grapple here, but I actually think his most likely path to a victory here is to win the fight by decision. I think that Danab Atgari has a lot of power, but I think that he could steal rounds here by wrestling, by reaching down for singles. I think that on top of that, Brandon Davis has a kind of diverse striking arsenal, whereas you see, a lot of single shots, a lot of counter punching, but mostly, power punching from the Danab Atgari side. And training at Jackson Wink doesn't mean a tremendous amount to me. I'm interested to see how he performs here, but he's like 32 years old. He's not this spring chicken, new contender on the block. So I'm really interested to see how it shakes. But, Brandon Davis at that big ticket to win by decision in a fight that I think is going to go decision more often than not, I'm willing to take that shot.
Well, I'll say I have a lot of bets on this fight. I do have Brandon Davis for 1 unit at plus 155. I think his kicks are actually going to be a big part of his game here. And the other thing I have is fight goes to decision minus 150. I think both guys are super, super durable. Dene is this very, very durable, fucking granite chin. The only thing, obviously, that I think how he gets stopped is not by punching. I think it's going to be a sub if he does get stopped. And on the other hand, we've seen this guy, this dude takes huge punches on Brandon Davis. Like, dude, guy, it's hard to get this guy out of there. I know the one thing I will say is Dinah's left hook is nasty, man. And he's got to watch out for the left hook because he does have a lot of power. But again, Brandon Davis is a guy that, never been stopped, by punches. So I don't think Dene is going to be able to put this guy out. So, yeah. Fight goes to the decision is also something, so I do like that, Brandon Davis, plus 300, plus 320 decision line, because most likely if he wins, it's going to be by decision. But again, the sub prop, I believe, is off. And that's why I gave that specific play.
Yeah, it looks like we're all on the Davis side regardless. I think we all have money line bets on him.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Fight number 3. Man, this girl is crazy. Lupita Godinez, coming off fighting last week, steps in on short notice, up a weight class against Luana Carolina. Honestly, on this play, I'll be completely honest, I really couldn't find anything that I liked that I wanted to actually give out. But this is initially, and now a lot of the prices have come out. And what I did look at, honestly, is the Godinez submission at plus 500, I think, is a little bit off. So if there's anything I would play here, which I wouldn't recommend, honestly, because I don't really like anything great here, just because of the short notice, the upper weight class, I think Godinez is going to win this fight. It's just for me, it's too sketchy. Going up a weight class, she looked small. Like she hit the weights, at one, I think she was under like 113 and a half or something, 114. So I don't know. I'm sorry, not 114, 124.
Yeah, I think it was 121 point something. And I was concerned about that
too.
It
was low. It was low, like I figured. And that's, that she's probably not even cutting weight at this point. So I don't know how she's going to fare up against a much bigger girl here. So yeah, it's pretty much a pass for me, honestly. Go ahead, Brady. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. So I have a bet on this fight. It's the fight goes to decision minus 152, but the play I'm going to give out is going to be actually Carolina winning by decision. And the reason being, you brought up a lot of points that, Lupi, I think she is the better fighter, but she has a lot of things going against her. She's going to be at a massive size disadvantage. On paper, it says that she's actually 4 inches smaller. It looked a lot more than that at the weigh-ins. And then, like you said, you came in and weighed in at 121 pounds. Carolina is going to have a 8-inch reach advantage as well. So I wouldn't be shocked if, Carolina, for the most part, has shown a pretty good takedown defense. On paper, it's 90%. Looks pretty solid to me. If Godinez is not able to get Carolina down, and if she is at range, like Carolina can use those 8 inches to her advantage. And I could see it being a very close, greasy decision. So I'm actually going to side with Carolina here and give out that plus 300 by decision prop. And then I actually do have a play on the fight goes the distance. I think there's some recency bias coming in on the fact that Godinez just went out there and got a submission against Juarez. And I think Carolina, although I'm not too high on her, I do think it's a step up in competition for Lupi. And it's a step up in weight, which is pretty important as well.
I like it. I mean, I don't mind that play. She's plus 350. You could actually get her at plus 350 on DraftKings by decision. And you made a good point. Like the size is, the size, even though Godinez is like tossing girls around at 115, the size, we don't know what Carolina's stepping in the ring as. We probably know Godinez is probably around that 121, 122 range, right? But Carolina might be in the 135, 140 range for what we know. She's huge for this division. So I don't know. I'm skeptical. I don't know why she took this fight on 1 week's notice up a weight class, which is kind of weird for me. Like to me being her manager or something, I would never take the fight, up a weight class in 1 week's notice. It's just not a good thing for her. But maybe I'm wrong. Liam, prove us wrong if indeed you have something else.
This is a fight that I don't have any prop exposure to personally. However, you guys did hit on, if I was to play props, those are the two that really stood out to me. Godinez round 1, I think, is plus 500, and her to win by sub is also plus 500. And for me, it's more readily available that she could get a sub at any point in this fight if she is getting on top, if she is getting top time. And I do expect her to in this matchup. I think I'd be more interested in backing her almost from a money line perspective. Although granted, my confidence in that play was shattered when I saw her at the weigh-ins because, most fighters cut from like above the weight class above them, so like if I'm cutting to 125, I start at 138 or 140 or 145. And so because she's not doing that, and that's evident, now she's really going to be undersized in the spot. And that being said, I think it's such a stylistic advantage that she's going to get on top. She is going to find those positions. Somebody who's really long and tall, sometimes they can make themselves big against the cage, but I think that she's going to probably be able to just suck the hips out because despite the fact she's so small, she's really, really strong, like exceptionally strong, even by, normal 125 and 135 pound standards. Like she is a very strong woman. Only power bomb I've ever seen in the UFC. So yeah, exactly, more than once. So I think that Godinez sub or Carolina decision. Because I do think that this fight is going to see the cards in all likelihood. And for that reason, I think Godinez is going to be on top. I think she's going to be pushing her against the cage and controlling minutes. But I think the most likely finish is a Godinez submission in the spot because I do think that Carolina's just shown some defensive carelessness at times in the grappling positions, though I do see improvements.
And my other worry with Carolina, I can mention, is the fact that, she has the size, but she doesn't use that size, right? She doesn't use her size to, use her range and stuff when she's striking. It's just awkward with her. Her striking is not the best. And, if I was her and she had those long limbs and, if she can keep Godinez on the end of those kicks and punches, like, yeah, she's going to look really good here, but she doesn't normally do it. So let me go over to chat real quick. See, people are saying Loopy is going to rinse and twist less eat. Why shouldn't she send stylistic matchup? I mean, yeah, but I understand the matchup is good, but man, in this matchup, size is going to matter. I really believe it's not that easy. It's not that easy here. Think about this. She weighed 121. She probably hydrated. I mean, she did not probably. She hydrated. She probably didn't know she was going to fight this week. So she ate, did whatever she had to do. And then all of a sudden, she only weighs 121. Like, dude, that's her weight. That's probably her walking weight right now at 121. Carolina's going to be probably 20 plus pounds bigger come fight time. So I don't know, man. It's not going to be that easy. I know she's throwing these other girls around. It's not going to be that easy to throw Carolina around, even though Carolina looks kind of clumsy to me sometimes in that ring. Rinse and repeat.
And she threw Jessica Panay, who is like, for all her faults, like sticky and like awkward and always trying to grapple. And she was able to like disengage by just, and I think that Carolina, for all her skills, has been a little bit at a physical deficit, even in the Lipsky fight that she lost by sub. That was kind of the difference. Lipsky hasn't proven herself to be an elite submission grappler. It's like, I really grabbed your leg hard and yanked on it,
Yeah, that was kind of like a weird submission there against her. Lower center of gravity versus giant loopy. I get that. That makes sense. Of course, she's because she's so much smaller, she can get to the hips quicker. Liam could say something about that. If you're, can get in on those hips, you can get those takedowns pretty much easily. Should got Carolina. Okay, let's move on. Fight number 4. We got Danny Roberts going up against Ramazan Emeev. Go ahead, Liam. We'll start with you here.
Awesome. And, another fight, I have one already preloaded, lined up, ready to go. I'm on Danny Roberts to win this fight by knockout at plus 750. I think everybody is on Emeev this weekend, and I get it. There's a lot to like about him. He's got a pretty consistent minute-winning style. I just think that I'm starting to see these little chips and dinks into the durability of Emeev, and I think he's getting a little slower. He's always been a little plodding. I think he's a little hittable, got pretty decent overhands, good wrestling. That's been improving for him. But I think that Danny Roberts, with some time away, he's got some momentum in his career. They're at like age parity, and I don't know why this line is so wide. It's almost at the point where the Danny Roberts money line is going to be a plus 300 play for you guys. If you're interested, full disclosure, I'm on it at plus 280. But I think that his most likely path to win this fight is by knockout. I think he's got, the power that can really challenge the durability. And I think that Danny Roberts, systemically slept on. He was very close in the fight. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Claudio Silva. He fights like every 5 years, but the guy's pretty dang talented. And, it wasn't like Danny Roberts got out-grappled for 15 minutes. He got caught towards the end of that fight, and it was a war. And I think that if he puts Ramazan Emeev in a war, he could definitely win the fight. And I think that, if he catches him on wobbly legs, Danny Roberts hits hard and fast. He could definitely get him out of there. So if they're hanging plus 750, I'm in for a small shot.
I like it. Brady, what do you got for us on this fight?
Yeah, don't hate the shot there, Liam, especially from a dog or pass standpoint. The line seems to be getting like crazy at this point. But for me, I'm taking a different route here. And I think it'd be easy to say Ramazan Emeev by decision. It's like minus 110, something like that. But I'm actually going to go with Ramazan Emeev to win by submission, which is plus 460. The reason being is I think his path to victory is going to be getting this fight down to the mat. We have seen Roberts take it down several times, a 53% takedown defense. Emeev has a 33% submission rate, and Roberts has been submitted twice in his career. Emeev's a decision-maker though, but he's talking about wanting to get a finish, and I feel like this could be the first time, right? Roberts has never lost a decision in his entire career. All of his losses have came by either a knockout or submission. I'm going to say Emeev does get a submission here, and at plus 460. I think it's a little bit off there, but I think most likely scenario is that Emeev decision.
Yeah, I'm a little off on you on this one. I'm on the Roberts side myself. I actually should have waited on this line because I got in at plus 265 and now it's going up. And I never expected, Roberts to hit plus 300 in this. I'm just underwhelmed with Emeev, honestly. Watching his tape, I understand the guy has good wrestling, but his control is not good on the ground. Like almost all the guys he gets down they get up. He doesn't control them much. He is pretty strong. He does have decent cardio. He has that decent wrestling, but his striking is not something to, be like, wow, he's got good striking, because I don't think he does have good striking. I think Roberts is the much better striker here. His punches are very loopy when he throws them. If you watch, he's switching stances, throwing loopy punches. He does that very often. You watch the Zawada fight, a really close fight in my opinion. Like Zawada, at times had success against him. Roberts is not that easy to get down. Watch his tape, man. He's pretty good with his hips. He's really strong. He's the bigger guy here. Honestly, this is really, the line to me is just really disrespectful at this point. Like getting to almost plus 300. I think Roberts is undervalued here. And, I took Roberts by decision at plus 500. I think that line is off. Emeev seems like he's very durable. I don't think Roberts is going to be able to stop him. But I think Roberts is going to have a lot of success. A lot of here. The other point I want to make is a really big point. Is Emeev is very, very heavy on his lead leg, and Roberts does kick hard. He's really fast with his kicks, and I think those are going to be really key. And Roberts' decision plus 500 is my actual play here. And like I said, I have Roberts at plus 265 for 0.75 units as my official track play. See what the chat has to say. Pain Fight Pick Salutation, not exciting card this weekend, but another opportunity to make money. Yeah, last week's card wasn't exciting, but we made money. Hania, hi Liam. Hania's your fan. She's your fan, Liam. What are you eating? Oh, he showed you guys. He's eating that pizza. Enjoy the pizza.
The perks of New York, baby.
Right after he did jiu-jitsu class, by the way. If you're eating once in a while, okay, let's fight to get healthier, folks. You're right about that. Always good to be healthy. Moving on, fight number 5. It is Andrew Sanchez going up against Bruno Silva. Kick it off, Brady, here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so pretty simple here. I think, I heard an interview with Andrew Sanchez, and he said that he wants to get back to his wrestling roots. And if you are on the Sanchez side, that is something that is just music to your ears, because he's going to have to wrestle in this fight and wrestle a lot to have success. We have seen, Silva taken down several times outside of the UFC. We've seen him give up a bunch of dominant positions as well. And yeah, I feel like Andrew Sanchez very well can go out here and implement that grinding game plan. But with that grinding game plan, we've seen it time and time again. He'd slow down as the fight goes on. Anthony Smith is able to finish him in the 3rd round. James is able to finish him in the 3rd round. So yeah, I see Sanchez having success early, and maybe we can win that decision. But the play I'm going to give out is going to be Silva to win in round 3, which is plus 1,000. Andrew Sanchez has been knocked out 4 times, and I believe 3 of them have came in the 3rd round. Muradov, Smith, and James, if I'm not mistaken. And I could very well see Sanchez going out here wrestling hard for 2 rounds, slowing down, gassing out, and Silva hits like a truck, 85% knockout rate. So I'm going to give out Silva to win in round 3 plus 1,000.
All right. I'm on the opposite side here. I actually have a bet on Andrew Sanchez at plus 134. I have 2 units on him. Actually, the line is going up again. I got the wrong side, I guess. But I really like Sanchez here in the wrestling aspect. I know we saw Silva, stop those takedowns from Thurman, but I think Andrew Sanchez is a better wrestler here. I also heard that interview where he says he's going to go back to his roots, and I hope he's saying the truth and he doesn't. And the one other thing I do want to mention is his striking is improving leaps and bounds. He's at 8KA. His striking looks much, much better, even against the Muradov fight. Muradov had the best of him, but Muradov is a really, really good striker. I think he's a much better technical striker than Silva is. Silva's in there throwing bombs. Going back and watching, some of the Silva fights, for a guy that's as aggressive as he is, his cardio is actually not that bad. He does carry his power late, which is kind of scary. He does have some late finishes. I believe he has like a fourth round finish somewhere in his wins, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he does against Frolov, and that was 2 fights ago. But what I will say is Andrew Sanchez has faced a much, much better opposition. Go back and look at his losses. Yeah, he has some bad losses in there, but we're looking at, a guy like Muradov, like I said, much better striker, very long guy. Then you go to Marvin Vettori. The one loss that I did not like, and I'm sure none of us liked it, was the Ryan James, 3rd round knockout from Ryan James. For Christ's sake, how do you get knocked out there by that guy? But again, that's attributed to his cardio. Doesn't look good. But you know what? Guy looks in much better shape. People are actually honestly sleeping on this guy in this spot. Silva to me just doesn't offer anything outside that big power. And to me, I think, even his striking is not very technical when you look at it. So for me, Sanchez by decision plus 380. I think he wins by decision, grinding him on the ground. Liam, what do you have for us?
All right. So I got a couple things for you. Number one, full disclosure, I got on the Bruno Silva money line, but I got on early. I was on at minus 130. And so, I felt like Bruno Silva has, a path to win this fight by knockout in a pretty big way. But with that being said, I don't want to give the same play that Brady gave. So what stood out to me when I looked at the slate on bestfightodds.com is fight to end in round 3 at plus 800 on Betway. And that can be had for, similar figures, plus 650 elsewhere. And, I think that number one, that opens up the possibility that Bruno Silva gets grappled, gets tired, and either gets an attributive loss from Andrew Sanchez beating him up from top position, or finding, a submission somewhere down the stretch if he just completely gasses. But I don't expect that. Andrew Sanchez pretty reliably falls apart across the fight that doesn't go, pretty authoritatively his way. And so I feel like that's the big concern on the Andrew Sanchez side, is that, there's been, it's kind of like Chael Sonnen, who's one of my favorite fighters of all time, but like he lost the same fight over and over again. And I feel like that's a psychological problem that fighters have, and I feel like closing the show is really hard for him. And with somebody like you mentioned that carries that power deep into a fight, Bruno Silva is expected to win this fight by round 1 knockout if you really sift through the betting information. But I kind of think that the most likely outcome is that he is losing the fight for a portion, and people are going to feel good about the ticket. But I'm just worried that Andrew Sanchez is going to have that collapse again, and that everything that looks good for 12 minutes, you're going to be like, what the hell happened? What? And that for me is what I'm afraid of. So round 3 plus 800, not a bad poke in my opinion.
Let me ask you guys one thing. What do you make out from his last? Because when I go back and watch that Murdoch fight, I don't think his cardio looked bad in the third. I just think he got caught there. Seeing him, he was moving forward. He was throwing punches there. He just got caught. I believe he got caught with an uppercut. And, I didn't, in other fights, I do agree with you guys, but I didn't see it in his last fight. I didn't think he was tired in the third at all, but he did get caught again. And which paints a picture from his previous losses, like a lot of those third round KOs, right? But I think those were more attributed to lack of cardio than the fight against Muradov. It's just what I saw. Maybe I'm wrong. But I didn't see him really tired in that third or gassed, or, he looked decent. He just got caught with a nice uppercut. And Muradov is a sniper when it comes to striking. But, again, you guys are more than welcome to maybe you guys saw something I didn't see. But I think his cardio looked fine in that last fight.
No, it looked good. It looked good, but he didn't get any takedowns, so that's my concern. Like, if he does get takedowns and if he does wrestle, what is it going to look like then?
Well, yeah, you're right. And he was trying to strike with a guy that he shouldn't have been striking with, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
And the problem is, for me, if somebody has a cardio deficiency, one of the ways you can get around that is to make it a less energy exertive style. And, range striking, where you get more feints, more fakes, but less activity, is one way to do that. If you're pressure grappling from opening bell onwards, it's the most exhausting thing in the whole planet. So, especially against a big resisting opponent like Bruno, that's where it gets dicey for me, especially because he hasn't done it in so long. But granted, he's got the wrestling background. There's no reason to believe he can't get takedowns or find opportunities in this spot. But what concerns me is just that, wrestling matches in college are 7 minutes. Could he do it for the first 10 minutes? I think he really can. It's just, can he put together that 15-minute performance? I want to see him do it before I support him financially, at least at this time.
Yeah, I don't blame you whatsoever, going based on what his cardios look like. And I will say, it probably depends. If he does decide to grapple, it probably depends on how hard he works to get the takedowns, right? If they're going to be easy and he's going to be able to lay on top, then we know that's less exhausting. If you're on just top and just throwing punches in from the guard or something, that's going to be much better for him. But again, it's the takedowns. Is he going to be able to get them easy, or are they going to be very hard? Because, yeah, then it might be a problem. And your, round 3 ticket might look really good, if you have one. Enjoy the fights tomorrow. Thank you, Payne. Thank you for joining us. Take care, buddy. Thank you, sir. We will move on. Interesting fight here. Fight number 6. Ludovic Klein going against Nate Landwehr. I can go here. I have a prop bet. Well, I don't have it actually. This is what I could sift through, what I liked the most. I like Klein KO round 2 plus 500. I think he just breaks him down after round 1. Nate Landwehr is so deficient when it comes to defensively when it comes to the striking. Like, guy gets hit way too often. Ludovic Klein is a finisher. Go look at his record. The guy has 17 wins. I want to say 16 of them by inside the distance. So the guy's a big time finisher. I know people are looking back at that Trezano fight, man, but Trezano's a completely different guy than Nate Landwehr. Much longer, good kicks. The guy has better striking than Landwehr. Good jiu-jitsu. I even think he's a better wrestler than Landwehr. I honestly do not like Landwehr whatsoever. I think the guy is a fraud. I think he came over from M1 beating these guys and came here and came back to reality because he's been knocked out. Everybody said this guy has a granite chin. No one can KO him. He's been hit in M1, but guess what? He's been knocked out 2 out of 3 times in the UFC. I think he's on pace to get knocked out again, because Klein's main weapon is the head kick. And guess what? I think he's going to find that head kick in this fight, to be honest. So that's my play. I think it happens in the second round at plus 500. The reason why I'm also saying second round is I think Klein, because he kind of gassed last fight, he might pace himself a little better here and not go crazy in the first. We'll move it over to Liam. What do you have here?
Absolutely. And, I think that I could give you a couple different ones on this, depending on the level of, how conservative you want to be with your play here. I think the, conservative bet at plus 300 or greater odds is Klein to win the fight by decision. I think that, Klein is more than likely going to win this fight. Nate Landwehr historically has been more durable than he's shown in recent performances. He has moved camps. Potentially he's using new supplements. I would hope so, because whatever he has been using hasn't been working. So I think that, could we see an improved Nate Landwehr here? Potentially. Ludovic Klein his last time out, like you mentioned, had a fight where he ran into somebody, couldn't really get the game going. Maybe he's a little more conservative in his approach for this fight, and that leads to a slower paced matchup with somebody who has historically been rated as durable. Now, with all that being said, I actually have a bet on Ludovic Klein to win the fight inside the distance. So I believe he's going to finish the fight. I think he's going to win the fight as well. And if you wanted to get a little wild, a little reckless, I know we're looking to win some big money tickets here. What stood out to me immediately was Ludovic Klein to win the fight by sub in round 1 at plus 2,500. And
wow,
this is a guy who has an equal share. He's got an equal share of KOs and subs across his career. He's been on a streak of KOs, but what's to say he doesn't club and sub this guy? If he knocks him down, Nate Landwehr historically, not a guy who's getting like snoring on the ground after he gets out. He's a guy who's like known for being too tough for his own good. I feel like if Nate gets clipped and is still coming forward, shooting reckless takedowns, what's to say he doesn't get submitted in the spot? And at plus 2,500, a guy who, again, 16 finishes, 8 of them are by submission. Everybody, odds makers, everybody's looking at this fight and saying, it's probably going to be a round 1 finish for this guy. And yet it's round 1 plus 175, round 1 knockout plus 210, and then round 1 sub plus 2,500.
Wow. I didn't see it. I actually might take a poke at that. And looking back, even at his submission prop is like plus 1,000. Brady, what do you got here?
Yeah, Liam, I actually really like that call quite a bit. I think Klein is going to finish the fight as well. I'm actually pretty high on Klein in terms of I have him in a parlay. But what I do want to give out is going to be actually the Klein decision prop. I think the most likely scenario is a Klein first round knockout, but that's only plus 210, like you mentioned. But yeah, a Klein decision would not surprise me. Plus 320 here. The reason being is because Nate Landwehr, he is a tough guy. Yes, he's been knocked out twice in the UFC, but both of those things, those knees that landed, they would have knocked out most people in the division. Klein is a finisher, though, like a 94% finish rate. Like Narco said, he's finishing every single win but one. But I could see a scenario where Klein kind of sticks on the outside, picks him apart. Nate Landwehr has 0 striking defense and kind of picks him apart and wins a 3-round decision pretty clearly there. But again, I think Klein round 1 KO is the most likely scenario. But I just wouldn't be shocked if Landwehr's chin did hold up this time and Klein kind of picked him apart for 3 rounds. But yeah, I like your call, Liam. That what do you say, plus 2,100? So
2,500.
25. That's crazy.
One.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
It is. And that's part of the show. Like, I love it. Like, I didn't even see that, but man, like, that is not a bad prop as far as, the club and stuff. Like he said, head kick, he goes down, he's too tough for his own good, and boom, he sticks in, some kind of, who knows, a rear naked choke or whatever. Go ahead, Liam. Sorry.
One other unorthodox shot I'm going to give here, and, I don't give much credence to the Nate Landwehr side, in fairness, but if you're saying, hey, I like Nate Landwehr, number one, you could play him on the money line and you're above plus 300, folks. But number two, if you really want to get crazy with it, you can see plus 1,500 on Nate Landwehr round 1. For better or for worse, Ludovic Klein has 3 career losses. 2 of them are in the first round. He got submitted once. He got knocked out once in the first round on the regionals. Nate Landwehr comes out motivated, MMA Masters, got a better game plan, slips something, counters him, knocks him out. All I'm saying is at plus 1,500, that wouldn't be my least favorite poke on the Nate Landwehr side.
I thought you were going to go more to the round 3 just because of how we saw Klein slow down in round 3 last fight against a pressure fighter, which is what Nate Landwehr is. And, he's plus 1,900 round 3. I thought that's where you were heading, but you were heading in round 1. What I will say about Ludovic Klein is, since you did mention camp changes, he's also at Sanford MMA. He did his camp at Sanford MMA. So, hey, the guy is probably getting sharper. He looked incredible on the scales. He always looks good, but, man, he looked incredible. He looked much bigger.
Training with my boy Derek Brunson. Gibbs gang, baby.
Derek Brunson. There he is. Yeah, so we'll move on. It's going to be an interesting fight. Landwehr is always in these crazy fights. So, fight number 7. Manon Fiorot against Mayra Buena Silva. You can kick this one off, Brady.
Yep. So yeah, I like Fiorot here, and the reason being is you take a look at Mayra Buena Silva, 0 takedowns in the UFC. If she's just going to strike with Fiorot for 50 minutes, it's going to be very bad to the point where I wouldn't be shocked if Fiorot got a finish here. Mayra Buena Silva, she's very tough. She's never been knocked out, but Fiorot, I think she's the real deal. She hits very, very hard, a 78% knockout rate, has a ton of power, a ton of volume. I go back to the Marina Moroz fight against Mayra Buena Silva, where Moroz was just picking her apart for 3 rounds. I think she landed almost 140 significant strikes on her, and it just showed how hittable she is, a 47% strike in defense. I can very well see a scenario where Manon Fiorot, they stand and bang for, up till there's a finish. And I'm going to say if Manon Fiorot does get a finish, I think the damage is going to add up throughout the fight. And I think in the third round, I think Fiorot is going to put her out. So give me Manon Fiorot to win in the third round at plus 1,000.
Awesome. So I'm pretty much close to you, but I have her round 2. I just think, man, she hits so damn hard. Mayra Buena Silva is a tough girl, but she's so damn hittable. And I think just the way Fiorot comes out in that first round, she's gonna really land. She's gonna land hard. And like you said, Silva doesn't grapple. She doesn't. If she was to wrestle here, I would be a little more worried. She hasn't shown it, right? Why would we assume that all of a sudden she's gonna wanna, wrestle and try to take this fight to the ground? I don't think she does. I have a bet. I got in very early on Fiorot at minus 190. I have 3.8 units on it. I really like her, man. This girl is a force to be reckoned with. I know, there's going to be a time that's going to be some good grappler and to test her, takedown defense and stuff like that. But as far as striking is considered, man, this girl's nasty. She has big power. And how Marina Moroz just was piecing this girl up on the feet. If Fiorot is to land here on Silva, it's not going to be good. And if she lands as much as Moroz landed, I don't think Silva's going to be able to take it. So, my play is officially is round 2, Fiorot plus 650. What do you got, Liam?
Well, Man, this is a fight that I have not yet bet on at all, to be fair. So I will disclose that up front. What I'll also mention is I'm immediately, my eye is drawn. I like to look comparatively at these lines always when I'm just glancing around and trying to notice differences. What's the sharpest books holding? What are some of the retail books, FanDuel, DraftKings, what are they holding? And I'm seeing Firo to win by submission plus 2,600 on FanDuel and plus 1,400 on Bet Online. That's a massive difference, and not the kind of difference you normally see in a prop market. And to me, that would suggest that Bet Online normally has the better number, just for better or for worse. So I think that it's not likely that that's how she wins. But think of the Agapova fight last week, where it's a shot on the feet, absolutely drops her, and then instead of following up with ground and pound, just takes the easy finish with the choke. Not to say that Firo is as avid a grappler, but I did think that just caught my eye in terms of the gap there. I think that Bueno Silva to win the fight inside the distance at plus 500 caught my eye. I think it was a much better price earlier in the week, and that has been bet down. And I just think it's because she also hits with power. I think Firo is the deserving favorite. I think she's more likely to win the fight by knockout, but I think the more likely submission threat is from the Bueno Silva side in all likelihood. And she does have a submission win over Jillian Robertson, widely considered one of the better grapplers in the division. For me, that at least is an endorsement of her submission offense. She doesn't seem to be the most pure and consistent grappler, but one thing I noticed about Firo is she does a lot of those side kicks up on one foot. And, if you can either catch a kick or run through on a punch and just knock somebody off balance who's on one foot, it doesn't take proper takedowns to get on top of somebody. And I think if she gets on top, Myra is going to meet her physically in those positions and probably be able to advance. So that, for me, is where the fight gets interesting. But everything I've seen from Manon Firo from a defensive grappling perspective, granted it was a long time ago, was that she was scrappy, didn't give up too many easy positions. So I think it's a tricky fight from a prop betting perspective, but those are the ones that kind of stood out to me.
The other thing I wanted to mention, since I did take the second round prop of Firo, that 5 of her knockouts have come in the second round. That's what I noticed when I looked back at her. So she seems to be turning it up, I guess, more in the second round to get people out of there. So, and that's another reason why it caught my eye, where I like that play. If you guys have anything else to add, you are more than welcome to add it. Otherwise, we can move on. Fight number 8, Jim Miller going up against Eric Gonzalez. Liam, you're eating, so I can kick this one off if you want. So in this fight, I actually have a play. Miller submission round 1 plus 700. That's actually a track play of mine. I have that play. I can't leave you guys without this. I have a tracked play also of 0.25 units on Gonzalez round 3 plus 2,900.
Goodness.
Listen, I'm telling you guys, I watched a lot of tape on this fight. I saw what Miller looked like on the scales. He did not look good whatsoever. With a guy that's aggressive and going forward as Gonzalez is, he's not good, guys. I'm not saying he's good. He does not have good wrestling. He does not have good takedown defense. His striking is not the best. It's, but what he does have is a lot of aggression and a lot of cardio, guys. He has both of these things that Miller does not have, which is cardio. And when you have somebody that has really good cardio and another guy that doesn't have good cardio, round 3 bet is, if he's able to survive, the round 3 bet is not that bad to look at. And at plus 2,900, I think that line is way, way off. But I do like Miller's submission round 1 because I think if he gets it done, it's going to be in round 1. What do you have, Liam?
Absolutely. And, this is, again, I feel like a fight where depending on how conservative you want to be with your betting approach, there's different ways to attack this, right? I think that the safest way to play Jim Miller would be Jim Miller round 1 or round 2 at plus 260, plus 280. That's what it was earlier this week when I got involved. It's plus 260 now. That's kind of what I like as like the baseline play. That being said, I think if you're willing to go a step further, Jim Miller round 1 at plus 500. I played it at plus 550. I think that's a good bet. Jim Miller tends to come out fast, like a house on fire. He tends to burn his gas early. And if you look at his last 4 wins in the UFC, they have all been first round submissions. So Jim Miller either gets to work and gets it going early, or he doesn't. And when he does it, he tends to fall off a little bit. So I think if I'm going to take exposure on Jim Miller, I want to maximize it. So I have exposure 3 ways on Jim Miller. I have Jim Miller round 1 and 2. I have Jim Miller round 1 at plus 550. And then I have Jim Miller round 1 sub at plus 700. The line went up to plus 750. Thank you very much. I'll take it again.
Nice. So we're in agreement with that Miller round 1 sub. We kind of saw the similar things. Brady, you're on agreement, or do you have something else for us on this fight?
No, I agree, Liam. I think that's pretty crazy. The 1 and 2 for Miller plus 260. You said that's nuts.
Plus 280. I played it.
Plus 280. Like that's how he wins, right? Like if he is not gonna win in the first round, like I have serious concerns about Miller. So I kind of like the angle you play there, Narco, as well. But what I'm going to give out is going to be same as you guys. Jim Miller, it's an official play of mine. I took Jim Miller to win in round 1. Didn't mess around with the round 1 sub, which was plus 700. I wanted to kind of cover just in case there was like a TKO, but I fully think it's going to be a submission here. You take a look at Jim Miller. I don't think he's won any other way outside of a first round submission since like 2000. I think it was like 2015, 2016. It's been a while. His last 2016, his last 4 wins have came by first round sub. And like you mentioned, he's 38 years old. When he does get out of the first round, it does not look good. So yeah, give me Jim Miller round 1. I really do like that Jim Miller round 1 and 2 plus 260 plus 280. I like that as well. So that's gonna be something else I do look at. But official play I'm gonna give out is gonna be Jim Miller round 1 plus, I think plus 500 is.
Awesome. So we're all kind of in agreement with that Miller round 1. The other thing I will say is that Gonzalez, he has a pretty good chin. Never been KO'd in 20 fights or whatever he has, and he's Mexican, dude. Guy's very, very tough. I think if Miller's to get him out of there, it's probably going to be a submission.
And even if Jim clubs him, what's Jim going to do? He's going to submit him. He's not like Jim's not going to mess around with the hammer fist, right? It's like he's just going to lock something up.
He's going to go right for the submission, and you're absolutely right with that. So we're all in agreement here. I like it. Co-main event time. Andre Arlovsky going up against Carlos Felipe. Go ahead, Liam. Shoot us some good plays here.
Man, so the line that I really like is gone, right? Which I played Andre Arlovsky by decision at plus 195 in the spot, and that was definitely my favorite bet on the fight. It's the only tracked bet I have so far on this bout. I think that, another good bet to target here is Felipe to win by KO TKO at plus 330. If you're looking at that plus 300 range, this is a fight that's tough to find a really good prop, in my opinion, that's over that price range, because I expect the fight to go to decision. I expect it to be one of these 2 guys eking out a split, So maybe one of those split decision lines is fair play as well. But I don't have access to those personally. So among the lines I have access to, Felipe by KO at plus 330, this is a massive age gap. This is a guy who should have a hand speed advantage. It's not like Tanner Boser, who throws a lot of leg kicks. He does throw punches towards the head. I don't think he's a tremendous power puncher, but because of the significant age gap, because of the likelihood that fighters over 38 tend to start getting knocked out more frequently, all those things would push me to say that if you're betting the Felipe side, Felipe to win by KO might be a value play, because everybody's kind of hip to the fact that this fight's going to decision. So even the Felipe decision line, isn't too enticing. I think it's plus 240, something like that. But even that might have been bet down since I last checked.
Awesome. What do you got, Brady?
Yeah, so this is one that I didn't really have a play for. I guess one thing does stick out. Yeah, I think everybody's probably in agreement this fight does go the distance. It's probably a very close competitive fight. I think whoever wins, there's a good chance they do win by a split decision. So I have an official bet on this one. It's going to be the fight goes the distance at minus 152. I think this goes the distance. I guess the play I'm going to give out, I'm going to get a little crazy here. I'm going to say that a fight ends in a draw plus 6,600. My reason being, I think it's going to be a very close competitive fight. You never know. There could be some eye pokes. There could be a fence grab. a point deduction in some type of way, maybe a 10-8 at some point in time. Either way, I see it being very close, very competitive, going the distance, and plus 6,600. Give me the draw.
Awesome. That's crazy that we kind of see this fight almost the same exact thing across the board, because I have an actual play on Arlovsky by decision plus 195. I have actually 2 units on it. And the reasoning behind my play is the fact that you go back and you look at Andrei Arlovsky. Andrei Arlovsky loses to mid to top tier guys in the heavyweight division. Every time the guy steps down, he wins. He beats those guys. He's just so experienced, knows how to win. And when the guys are just less skilled than he is, he just knows how to win. The guy beats those guys. And to me, Carlos Felipe is mid to low tier. I don't think this guy's, anywhere near the top tier or mid tier of the heavyweight division. I know the heavyweight division is not very, there's not a lot of fighters, but this guy to me is on the probably lower tier of the heavyweight division. I think Andrei Arlovsky is just better probably everywhere than this guy. The only thing this guy might have is a little bit of more power, but even that, I don't think this guy hits that hard. Does he have any knockouts in his UFC career? I don't think so. The guy throws those big looping punches. Andrei Arlovsky is too good for that, man. I don't think he gets hit. He's the much bigger guy. Go look at face-offs, much bigger. Height advantage, big height advantage here. I think Andrei Arlovsky's leg kicks, this guy is there to be leg kicked too. I just think Andrei Arlovsky wins this fight, but to give him a play, and it's funny that Brady said it, and it is probably going to be a close fight. So I would say Andrei Arlovsky by split or majority decision plus 600 would probably be my actual play. But the actual track play I have is plus 195 Andrei Arlovsky by decision for 2 units, because I do believe Carlos Felipe is very, very durable. Go ahead.
If I can drop an absolute greaser on you as well.
There he goes. This guy's loving this show.
I really do, man. This is where I look to find my value, man. I've actually been, struggling this year in particular on the money line bets. I've been trying to get better and sharper at those because last year I was profiting on those and not so much on props and parlays. This year I'm killing it on props and parlays, struggling on the money line. So yeah, when I'm hot in a certain area, man, I'll fire away. And I think that, Arlovsky to win by KO would be like the backup in your head. If you're like, how is Arlovsky going to win this? But I think Carlos Felipe has like little to no ground game. And Arlovsky obviously was made to look bad by Aspinall when Aspinall, choked him or whatever fast. But that's like the only time Arlovsky's been exploited in the grappling. Don't think it's the most likely outcome, but do I think it's potentially value at plus 2,300 Arlovsky to win this fight by submission? I don't think it's the worst bet in the world. And all I'll mention is that, again, the spread on Arlovsky by submission, plus 2,300 on FanDuel, plus 1,600 on Bet Online. And then if you look at the KO line, it's actually inverted. It's plus plus 490 on FanDuel and plus 775 on Bet Online. So Bet Online thinks it's very unlikely that Arlovsky wins this fight by KO, way less likely than the market does. And they are actually shading more towards submission than the rest of the market. So it's not, a huge edge, but I do think who's going to have grappling success if there is grappling success in the fight? It's Arlovsky.
Yeah, Felipe doesn't even grapple, but problem is Arlovsky doesn't even grapple himself. So that's the issue here. But Hania is asking, so not Miller. When you say so not Miller, do you mean like playing Miller straight up, or what do you mean when you say so not Miller, so we can kind of more, give you a clearer answer? Felipe split decision on DK. Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be, Brady is spot on when he says this fight is going to be close. It's just going to be a striking affair, in my opinion. And yeah, it is going to be close. It's going to be, 29-28, 29-28, 29-28. And one has, one judge sees it differently than the other two. Yeah, split decision plus 600. It's not a bad look, to be honest. But yeah, We can move on to our last fight of the night. It's the main event. I don't know if I would call it the main event, but it's a main event. So it's Norma Dumont going up against Aspen Ladd. Go ahead, Brady. Give us something on this fight.
Yeah, I guess what I'm going to give out is going to be Aspen Ladd by KO, which is plus 300. And the reason being is we have seen Norma Dumont. She was on her back in the Spencer fight. Really didn't offer a ton. And I think if Ladd does get Dumont down, she has that ground and pound. I think she can get her out of there. Yeah, kind of iffy on the Ladd side in general because there are tons of red flags in terms of the 2-year layoff, multiple injuries, ACL, MCL. Just had a terrible weight cut a couple weeks ago. She weighed in today. She looked good, but, still could have, effects on your health, right? So, I'm going to say Ladd by KO plus 300. Again, if she can get Dumont down, which maybe she can, I feel like Dumont's going to, pose some problems in terms of the strength, but I just did not like what I saw in terms of Spencer on top in that third round. Dumont looked very tired. So if this fight does get extended, maybe Dumont does slow down again. If Ladd does get her down, I could see like a TKO stoppage. So that's kind of what stuck out to me. Other than that, nothing really else stuck out in terms of a plus 300 or greater, but I'll give out Ladd by KO.
Yeah, I'm completely staying away from this fight from a betting side. There's so many red flags on Ladd's side. You mentioned the injuries, you mentioned the bad weight cut. 2 weeks later, now she's fighting up a division at 45. Looking at a play that I thought might be actually value is the fact that, Aspen Ladd's striking sucks to me. I think Dumont has a huge, huge advantage on the feet, and Dumont hits pretty hard. I honestly don't mind that Dumont KO plus 600. I think that, if Ladd is not able to take this fight to the ground, I think she's going to get stopped. That's just my opinion. If this fight stays standing for long periods of times, eventually she's going to get stopped because she's just so bad when it comes to, her defense, her striking. Dumont, the much better striker here. And I think she's, the more powerful girl as far as, her punches are considered. So, yeah, Dumont KO plus 600 would be my play here. What do you have, Liam?
Okay, so this is not my favorite fight from a prop perspective, but with that being said, there's a couple that stood out to me that I think that we could get, tricky with. So, fight ends in round 1 plus 375. I don't think it's the most likely outcome, but I could see either girl getting steamrolled early. We've seen it happen to Aspen Ladd before, and Norma Dumont, who I do expect to be strong early, if she gets taken down right off the rip, just loses her balance, whatever, could I see a first round finish? I could. And at plus 375, I don't think it's outside of the realm. So if I'm looking for, just to get over that plus 300 number, that would probably be one way I would look at approaching it because it kind of covers 2 different ways that the fight could play out. That being said, I kind of like what Narco was saying, Norma Dumont to win the fight by KO at the plus, 600 number. That's a spot that I like. I'm on Norma's money line here for some of the reasons you mentioned, the red flags with Aspen, a little bit of the striking inefficiencies. I didn't like the look in the Yana Kunitskaya fight. I don't like that she's coming back off a reconstructive surgery, off some botched weight cuts. Not the first time in her career. Seems to be recurring problems for her. And so, would I be stunned to see her chin not hold up to a fight up a division? I wouldn't be stunned. Would I be stunned to see her come through and steamroll Norma? No, I wouldn't be totally surprised by that either. So it's kind of a weird fight to me. But, the only other thing I looked at that really stood out is that you can get Norma Dumont to win the fight by round 1 KO. And, that's how we've seen Aspen Ladd lose. She's been pretty consistent, but Dumont KO round 1. Oh, I lost it now. Dumont in round 1 is plus 1,000, but the KO in round 1 is plus 2,000 on Bet 365. And I think that Norma is going to be the strongest in rounds 1, 2, and 3, and then probably start to shut down a little bit. She is the one that was preparing for a 5-round fight. So you would think that she tried to do everything in her power to get that cardio up. But a lot of times people that are a little more muscle bound, that throw a lot of power in their strikes, have a hard time, adjusting to that 5-round atmosphere. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But I don't think that this fight goes to the distance either way. I like one of these ladies to find a finish. One of them is probably going to be able to keep the fight in their realm, exert their game plan. The other thing is Aspen Ladd kind of works her way into a fight. So if you could find an Aspen Ladd to win in round 3, 4, 5 at a good plus number, that's something I could also get interested in. I didn't see that just scanning through the options on best fight odds, but Aspen Ladd works her way into a lot of fights and starts slow. The Yana fight looked terrible to start and kind of looked like a decent fighter by the end of it. So I think if she has time to adjust, maybe Aspen gets the win, but early, I think she can be caught like deer in headlights a little bit. And Norma, throws pretty hard.
What I will say is that, another point that I do want to mention is the weight cuts, right? This is like her, I don't know how much she cut weight for this fight. I'm not sure what she walks around at. I'm sure she walks around more than 145 just because of how tough it is for her to make 135, and she's missing by a lot sometimes. But this is, there was 2 canceled fights against Chiason in 3 months. So you got to remember, she cut weight for both those fights. And now, in 2 weeks later, she's probably cutting a little bit of weight again. So, it's a question mark even on her cardio at this point. It's not easy to cut weight. We see it time and time again, how bad these fighters go through these weight cuts. And she was one of them just recently. So again, I have a lot of red flags on this fight. I want no part of this fight. I'm staying far away from this. And there is red flags on Norma Dumont's, side as far as being on her back. So yeah, guys, that's about it. It wraps up all the fights. Thanks a lot for joining me. I will say it's a pleasure to have both of you, and I will give the floor to Brady. So if he wants to shout out whatever he wants and where to find you, Brady.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. I love the idea of the show. It's fun. Just searching through the props, trying to find something big. Hopefully, some of these hit. That'd be sweet. I'll be looking out for tomorrow. Hopefully, if some of these hit, that'd be awesome there. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers, YouTube, DFS by the numbers. I'll be going live with you, Wheezy, and a special guest tomorrow, 1 hour prior to the prelims. I think the prelims start 4:30 Eastern time, so we'll be going live 3:30 Eastern time. Best bet. We're going to give the best bet for each and every single fight on the card. But yeah, thanks again for having me. It was fun.
Awesome. Glad to have you. Liam, where can they find you? Tell us what you have going on, Liam. You have a lot going on. Go ahead.
Absolutely, boss. The first thing I'll mention, if you don't mind, Narco, just want to give the people, in the spirit of this show, the long shots that I'm on here. I got 2 long shots for you. $5 to win 253. Jim Miller, round 1 sub. Andrei Arlovsky to win by decision. And that was supposed to have Jordan Wright and Julian Marquez to end in round 1, but that got canceled. So that's what I've got there. And then I've got $1 to win 100. Danny Roberts by KO or submission, Jim Miller sub round 1, and Aspen Ladd, Norma Dumont does not go the distance. So those are my long shots for you. If you're in the small wager category, trying to give you guys a couple opportunities to win big, and I'm on those personally. So let's rock and roll. Let's get some wins. You can find my work always at Liam Picks Fights. It's on all platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I appreciate if you check that stuff out, if you subscribe. And if you want to interact with me, go ahead, reach out to me on those platforms. Try to be as responsive as possible. So thank you guys very much for all your support. You can also find my work for Roto Grinders, sports betting. You can find my premium picks at scoresandodds.com. And that's most of what you can find me doing. Sooner or later, you're going to see me out there strangling some people at these jiu-jitsu competitions. I'll tell you that.
Awesome. Mushroom asking real quick, any thoughts on Godonia's sub, Miller sub, Arlovsky decision, plus 4.575? I don't hate it. Maybe I would swap in Godonia's sub with something else, but I do like the other two. Tim, Ladd by submission, 850, like the ground and pound. Yeah, I mean, it's possible, definitely. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Daz. Again, thank you guys very much for joining me. Thank you to everybody in chat and everybody that was here watching this channel. I want to just mention one thing. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe to my channel. It helps out a lot. I will be on tomorrow with Brady 1 hour before the show. It's best bet. We do that. I will also be on Monday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's the Dana White's Contender Series show. We are absolutely destroying the Dana White's Contender Series this year. Come watch the show. I don't know how many units I'm up, but it's a lot. I will have to go back and look, but we've been absolutely killing that card, those Dana White Contender Series cards. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Thank you very much for coming on. I know you guys are busy with your shows and stuff, so I really appreciate it. And again, I want to shout out the chat because without them, we couldn't be doing this. Thank you, guys, and have a great night.